Okay, you guys, we are back with another video. It is 5:23 a.m. in Kingston, Jamaica. And for those who knows, your girl is up. um, holding on. You know what I've been doing, guys? I've been fasting and I've been praying, right? I have been watching a lot of videos about fasting and praying. It is something that I used to do when I was much younger. You know, when you're coming from a Christian home and you see your mom doing something and she's like, today's the day of fasting. And what she'll do is she'll do a little bit of cleaning, not too much, because when you're fasting, depending on how long you're fasting for, you know, you limit your physical activity. But I'll see her, you know, doing just a little bit of cleaning, and she will have her gospel songs on, and then she would be like, okay, I can have some water now. And then she would stop the gospel song, and then she would get to reading some scriptures. And after reading the scriptures, it would be prayer. So, like, I was my mom's partner in crime, because when I observe her doing these things, I'm curious, you know, and I realized that when she did it, the home felt, not that there was turmoil, not that there was turmoil in our home, just typical sibling rivalry and just those little minor stuff, but not turmoil, right? But I could remember when my mom, like, even talking about it, no, it brings back that refreshing, light feeling. You just feel the lightness in the home, and everyone is just in unison, and everyone is just on one accord, you know. My neck looks greasy. Yes, I put on castor oil, so I'll rub it from here to here because it keeps this area, because the other day I noticed that I had like 2 lines here. It was either 2 or 3, and I started using castor oil, and I'll rub it in before bed and I'll massage it in. And because I have a goiter, and 2 weeks ago it was huge. And anyone who has been watching my videos 2 weeks ago, you guys could see that a goiter was huge. So when I use the castor oil, it seems to do something for me, especially when it comes to, you know, the skin. Really do something. But as I was saying, you know, I could remember when my mom would go on fasting and prayer, the home would feel just so light, just so, you know, much more, you know, you get a feeling. And then I would be, after, like, I'm always up in my mom's business, you know, and I would tell her, until death do us part. And sometimes I would say to her, not even death can do us part. My mom has passed, but there are moments when I'm here and it feels as though she's here. It's as though I can just reach out and touch her, you know, even though she has passed. I can still feel her presence, and I can still feel her, and I can still feel her guidance. There are moments when I'm like, okay, what should I do now? And it's like I can literally hear her voice saying, don't move left, move right in this situation. Even just like a couple weeks ago, I was talking to my dad, and I was asking my dad a question. We were on the phone. And I was saying, it was a question that I had asked my father. And I kid you not, I heard my mom's voice saying, no, that's not right. And I said it to my dad, and I said, we just hear mama's voice like clear as day saying, no, don't do that. And I was like, did you hear it? And he was like, no. And I'm like, okay, this guy's going to think that I'm hallucinating now. And I know that I'm not the only one who has these experiences. And I think there are other people who out there who have these experiences and keep these experiences to themselves out of not being called crazy. But I kid you not, sometimes when I'm here, especially if I'm not feeling too well, like her presence is so strong, I can just reach out and touch her. But I'm never afraid. Like, I've dropped fear a couple years ago. More than 10 years ago, I've dropped fear. If I'm to go in the center of a cemetery at this point, I would go not feeling afraid. I've dropped fear a couple of years ago, so I don't fear like those things are. No, I don't know what happened, but a couple of years ago, I noticed that I've stopped watching TV and fear has been out the window when it comes to a lot of things. I haven't completely conquered it, but I've conquered a lot of things when it comes to fear. Like, I fear nothing literally, absolutely nothing most of the time. But as I was saying, I want to get into the moment and the season of fasting and praying because I used to do it when I was younger because I copied my mom doing it. And I've been coming across a lot of videos since of lately, and I said, I want to get back to fasting and prayer because I really do think that it helps, and I think it helps you in many, many different ways because even when it comes to the medical world, you'll hear doctors telling you about intermittent fasting and how good it is for your biological clock, how good it is for your health to do intermittent fasting. And I remember when I was doing intermittent fasting years ago, my tummy was extremely flat. I felt a lot better, a lot more energized, and I did not give in to the feeling of feeling hungry. And it's not something that we should do. We should not always give in to the feeling of feeling hungry. And, fasting is just one of that thing that disciplines you not to always give in the feeling of being hungry and relying on God for sustenance. And then once you realize that God sustains you through the journey of fasting, it kind of strengthens your faith, having to deal with the adversities of the outside world and the temptations of the outside world. You would realize that you are supposed to resist temptation because God sustains and supplies all your needs. So I want to get back in fasting. Today I tried, like from yesterday into today, I tried doing the 24-hour, but I did not make it all the way to the 24-hour, but it's still good that I got something done. But I'm going to keep doing it on a daily basis, and I'm going to keep expanding the time. So if I go fasting, I know, like, for a fact, I know I can do 6 hours, 8 hours perfectly fine, 12 hours perfectly fine. So I'm going to keep doing the 4 hours, 6, 8, 12. Then I'm going to keep taking it up a notch. Because I believe that when you fast and pray, you ask for healing, you ask God to open doors, you ask God for guidance, you ask for forgiveness of your sins, and you can atone through prayer and fasting. And I just want to do that. I want it to become something that is habitual. And even if you're a party kind of person and you're in the makeup world and the jewelry world and you curse and you drink, you can still fast and pray. There's no exception to who fasts and prays, okay? But as you guys know, I promise you at least one chit chat video each day. And this is it right here. Okay?